Regina, how did you find carnivore?
There's the question. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I have struggled with stomach issues my entire life, ever since I was a little child. I loved to eat. Food was comfort for me, and my mom was an amazing cook. So I would eat a lot of food, and then I would go to bed at night, and I would be wake up like an hour or two later with horrific stomach pains, and I would cry. And I was just a little kid, so my mom would get up with me. She'd lay on the couch with me until I finally eventually got sick, and then we'd go back to bed. And this would be several times a week. So that went on for many years until I got to about teenager years, and my mom ended up taking me to a gastro doctor, and they did like some kind of barium test or something that was hugely traumatic for a teenager. And after going through that experience, and them just saying, "Oh, she has IBS," I was like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm never doing anything like that again. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut, not say anything to my mom, and just deal with this on my own." So that went on for many, many years, and I continued to just eat whatever I wanted, your standard diet, and just get sick and sick and sick, and kind of always make sure I was near a bathroom, unfortunately. Um, in 2014, I was having a lot of vision problems, like blurry vision, black dots in my vision. So I started going to an eye doctor, and they're like, "Your eyes are great. I don't see anything wrong with them." And then they're like, "Go to an ENT." I went to an ENT, and he said, "Maybe you have vestibular migraines." So I ended up going to a neurologist. And at that time, my sister-in-law was like, "Your brother has Chiari malformation of the brain. Maybe you have that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe," because it's like they saying that maybe it's hereditary. So I went to the neurologist and I said, "I might have Chiari malformation of the brain." He's like, "You don't have that." And I was like, "Okay, well, can you check for it anyhow?" And he did the test, and I ended up having it. So that was like really upsetting. So it's basically like where there's like your brain or whatever kind of falls down into the spinal column and kind of blocks your cerebral flow and causes a lot of neurological conditions. Obviously, inflammation and things are bad for that. So I went and I talked to a surgeon. They said, "You don't need surgery yet. Everything seems okay at the moment." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I went on my merry little way. The next year in 2015, I was at work, horrible stomach pains, but these were different. And I ended up going home and laying down, and they got worse to like where I was almost screaming. And my husband took me to the hospital, and I'm sitting in the car on the way to the hospital. I'm like, "Oh, I feel fine again. Like, this is so weird." But then I got to the hospital, and they put me on the bed, and I started like screaming again. It was so bad. And they found out that my appendix was about to rupture. So the next day I had surgery on that. My appendix was removed. I don't know if that has something to do with all my GI issues or something, or just later it will make sense, but having allergies to food. So in 2015, I had the appendicitis. I also went back to a GI doctor finally after that situation, and I was still having these horrible times where I would eat and just get sick and sick and sick. So she did a celiac test and like breath wise, and then she also did a breath test for a disaccharide enzyme deficiency, and both came back negative. So she's like, "Okay, you have IBS." So it's the second time somebody told me I just had IBS. I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "Go on the low FODMAP diet." And I was like, "What the heck is a low FODMAP diet?" So I went home. She didn't give me anything. So, of course, I go on Dr. Google, and I'm just like, low FODMAP means no gluten. And I'm just like, I live on gluten. Everything I eat is a carb. I love my carbs. I don't like protein. The only protein I eat is chicken, and maybe turkey. So that was really devastating to me. But I was like, I am so sick. I need to try this. So I went on the low FODMAP diet. I started to feel better. Lots of chicken, turkey, veggies, fruit. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. I'll just cut out the processed crap. So I did that for a while. And then in 2019, I was having all this joint pain. And I'm like, what is going on? So again, went back to Dr. Google and I diagnosed myself with lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, like most people do when they search Dr. Google. And I ended up at a rheumatologist and I told him I thought maybe I could have these two conditions. What does he think? We did blood work. I went back for the follow up and he's like, you don't have either, but you do have fibromyalgia. And I'm like, well, what's fibromyalgia? And he's like, basically he like did all the pressure points. I had them all. It was horrific. And he's like, there's nothing really you can do for it. There is one medication I could prescribe you. But that's pretty much it. It's just something you live with. And I was like, okay. So I went home, I did research on that. And with me, when I research fibro, it's kind of like, we don't know what's wrong with you. We're going to call it fibro. But that's just my own personal take on it. And I'm very much against medications. I've been on many medications in my life for like antidepressants and things like in my teenage years, and they just caused other side effects. So I went on research fibromyalgia. What are the holistic ways of helping this? So I stumbled, he also told me at the time, actually, I forgot to mention that I also am hypermobile. So I have hypermobility syndrome where my joints shift in and out of place. So I went on Dr. Google once again and looked up what to do, and I found the McDougall diet. So it was pretty much like just eat veggies and fruits, lots of potatoes. So I was like, okay. So I kind of went vegan pretty much. And I love that diet. I was just, cooking up potatoes, lots of fruits, lots of veggies. I was like, I am so healthy. This is fantastic. Yeah, that didn't last long. So that was 2019. I started that. In 2020, I was back at the GI doctor in so much pain, I couldn't even get off the couch now. My intestines were swollen. I couldn't bend over. I had a heating pad on me to where I was literally burning myself. I was using the heating pad so much. I had no quality of life. They did a colonoscopy, an endoscopy, barium study, capsule studies, HIDA scans. They like were doing every test humanly possible, trying to figure out. Majority of them were coming back great. The HIDA scan came back and said I had a low functioning gallbladder, but the surgeon said that I didn't have any gallstones, so she didn't want to remove it. And I was in so much pain at that point. I was like, that has to be the answer. Just take the gallbladder out, get it out. I don't want it. And she was like, no, 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 it looks good. It looks good. We should keep it. And I'm like, okay. And then shortly after that, they found out finally what my problem was, which is pretty rare. I have a disaccharide enzyme deficiency, it's called. And basically, that means I don't make the enzymes in my body to break down like dairy or any kind of carb, whether it's a potato, a piece of bread, a piece of fruit. All I can do is eat pretty much protein. And at this point, I was still the McDougall diet where I was doing mostly vegan. And my doctor came to me, he's like, you got to go on a low carb diet for the rest of your life. This is most likely something you were born with. And as you get older, you lose more and more enzymes to process these foods. So it's going to continue to get worse and worse. So when I went on the McDougall diet, I was only eating carbs and no more chicken or turkey or anything. Things got really bad because I don't make the enzymes that break down those carbohydrates, unfortunately. So he's like, you gotta go on a low carb diet, but I'll give you some good news. There's this medicine called Sucrate that you can take that's like $50,000 a month. But the government will pay for it for the first year, and you just have to pay a $50 copay. And after that, I don't know what's going to happen. And basically, you had to put these like 3 or 4 drops of this special medicine they ship to you in this like big cooler pack into some water every time you wanted to eat something. And that would allow me to eat maybe 3 or 4 strawberries. So I did that for a month, and I'm just like, this is a waste of money and time. And after a year, I can't afford a $50,000 a month medication. So I don't even want to get addicted or hooked onto this thing to where like I need to continue with it. So I was like, there has to be some other answer. So he gave me this diet that I was supposed to eat for the disaccharide enzyme deficiency. And it was like a couple veggies I could eat, and there was a couple it said meats I could eat. There was like fats like olive oil, butter, all your traditional fats. But that was pretty much it. So I tried that for a while, like their special veggies or special fruits that were, and I was still getting sick. So I stumbled on a Medium article about a guy who had a low functioning gallbladder, and he talked about the carnivore diet. And I'm like, well, what the heck is the carnivore diet? Um, and I researched that, and I'm like, oh, that's it. That has to be my answer. I'm going to go to the carnivore diet. And people thought I was kind of crazy. They're like, what are you going to do? Just eat meat? I'm like, yep. So I went and I bought a whole bunch of chicken breasts. I bought a little teeny tiny pack of ground beef because, red meat is bad for you. You don't want to eat red meat. And I mainly ate chicken all the time and ground beef, but I felt better. I got off the couch. After a few days, the swelling in my stomach went away. I could go back to being able to bend over. I was able to eat food. Like in that time frame of 2019 to 2020, I lost like so much weight. Like I lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks because I just couldn't eat. And I wasn't like a heavy person at that point either. So, starting the carnivore diet was awesome. I got onto some support groups because no one around me ate like this. Everybody thought I was crazy. They're like, you can't just eat meat, you're going to die. So I got on support groups and they're like, okay, you got to eat high fat and, you got to, use salt and you get HCl and oxy, whatever, take all these supplements. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll do all that. So I did all that and I got so sick again. For some reason, I cannot handle salt. I don't know why. It gives me horrific runs. Um, the fat content really matters to me. I cannot eat high fat. I tried so many times. And people were like, oh, you just need to push through and get through it. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to push through it and there started to be like issues with blood and stuff, like when I would go to the bathroom. So it got to be that severe. I was like, okay, this can't be good for my body. And also I have to say, when I did first go carnivore, I did have the keto flu for the first week or whatever it's called. Horrible body aches, but I had so many benefits to like where I could actually like, yes, my whole body hurt, but I could get up off the couch and I could bend over and things like that I couldn't before. So I was like, I don't even care if I have those body aches and fever and headaches and stuff. Like it didn't matter to me. Um, so what I eventually found is I had to personally get off of the support groups because I found them so triggering, because so many people are like, I eat 80% fat and I'm doing great. And then here I am at 40, 50% fat. And I'm like, I can't get up to 80. Every time I do, I get horrifically ill. I can't add salt. I can't do HCl. Like when I take the HCl, I get this horrible burning issue. So I continue to go to the doctors, and they found other conditions too. They diagnosed me with GERD, gastritis, mild gastroparesis. So for a lot of people on the carnivore diet, they can eat one MAD or 2 meals a day. I have to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and I eat about 5 to 6 ounces of steak every um, 2 to 3 hours, and that's what works for me. When I try to eat more than that, the gastritis flares up really bad. It gets to the point where I can't bend over again. And this took years. Like I've been doing this now for 4.5 years, carnivore. And like I said in the beginning, it was all chicken because I was terrified of red meat. And then I found over time with the chicken that I was always bloated and gassy and just didn't feel as good. And then I stumbled on Michaela Peterson, and she talked about something called the lion diet. And I'm like, well, what's the lion diet? And it's all red meat. And I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to die if I do all red meat. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try it. So I went to my local Sam's and I got chuck steaks because they had them like, you get them like in bulk there. It's like a warehouse type place. And I bought all these chuck steaks in bulk and I loved it. It was so good. I was starting to eat fatty meat. I was up to like 70% fat. I'm like, okay, I'm handling this. This is going okay. I got sick again. The gastritis flared up so bad that time. So I had to go back to the chicken, and I just realized how bad I was feeling after eating the chicken. And I'm like, you know what? I know I read up online that chickens eat a lot of corn and soy, and like it goes into their meat, I guess, and it affects people that are really sensitive. And at this time, I started getting like this rash all over my body. I got muffled hearing. I started having all these weird symptoms. I was itchy all the time. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? This was last year. I had like all this mucus and phlegm. I kept coughing a lot. I couldn't talk. I was like losing my voice. So I started again to Dr. Google and doing research, and I stumbled on mast cell activation syndrome and histamine intolerances. So when I buy this meat at Sam's, I always get the meat that they're selling reduced, which has been sitting on the shelves for probably like 30 some days. So with meat, a lot of people know it builds up histamine over time the longer it sits, especially red meat. So I was eating very high histamine meats because I was getting like these meats that were about to expire. So I went to, an ENT. I got tested for that. She gave me the protocol for MCAS, which is the mast cell activation syndrome. So now I get my meat from the butcher, and it's about a half-hour drive there. And they have a cow. They have 3 cows killed every Tuesday, and then the meat is brought to them Wednesday morning. They cut it up into steaks for me, and I get about 30 pounds a week of steak. And it's kind of like the leaner steak, like London broil or sirloin. It's not the fatty steaks anymore because for whatever reason my body can't handle it. I've tried multiple times, and sometimes it's triggering with these kind of videos or support groups and stuff because people get on like, oh, I do one mat, or I do butter and fatty steaks and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can't do dairy. I can't do fatty steaks. Am I doing this wrong? But for right now, that's what's working for me. I'm basically doing the lion diet and getting the meat fresh from my butcher every Wednesday morning. I cook it all up, all 30 pounds within an hour. I cut it into cubes and put it into glass containers and freeze it. And I pull out one glass container every day and eat it. On top of that, over the years since 2015, I've been struggling with liver enzymes issues. So your liver enzymes are supposed to be around 30, 40. Mine have gone up to 400. They've done a bunch of tests on my liver, including a liver biopsy. They have done Doppler ultrasounds. They found out that my portal vein, like it's supposed to go one way, but the blood in the portal vein goes the other way, and then it goes the right way. So I have like, issues with my liver right now, and they think that could be elevating my liver enzymes. They also found out I have Gave disease, which is like bleeding in your stomach. So I have to do an endoscopy every year for that. And it was funny, I actually went for an endoscopy this year, and when they called, they were like, um, our records here say you're not on any medication and I'm 44 now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not on any medication. And they're like, we never see that. We never have a patient going in for an endoscopy or colonoscopy or any procedure that is not on any medication. And I'm like, well, that's nice. I appreciate that. And over the years, with like, I have like 16 crazy weird conditions. Like even with the liver, they diagnosed me with portal sinusoidal vascular disease, which is PSVD, that I have to get monitored every year. And like Gave disease, all these weird diseases. And, I'm not on any medication. And you know what? Truthfully, I really think it's thanks to the carnivore diet. My rheumatoid factor is also high, but the ANA or whatever it's called is negative still. And I've gone to the rheumatologist multiple times because sometimes my joints will really hurt. And it'll just be like, I don't see any inflammation in your joints. And I'm like, well, you're really not going to with me eating the carnivore diet. It's like the ultimate anti-inflammatory diet, but I'm still having some joint pain time to time. Um, and for me, it's not necessarily that I want to go on medications. It's just like I want to know what I'm dealing with so I can Dr. Google it and find a holistic approach. Things that are really big to me are grounding. I make sure to go out barefooted to the grass every day, and sleep is important. Walking outside with my dog. I'm actually a dog walker, as I have my own business. So, things like that, like holistic approaches, are very important to me to manage all these conditions. Um, and, I have to say, over the years, my doctors have not been on board with this way of eating. They're very much against it. My liver doctor, who's a specialist right now, because she says that this portal sinusoidal vascular disease is very rare, what I'm dealing with. So she wants to keep up with me. Um, she wants me to see a nutritionist. And I've talked to many nutritionists over the years, and they will not, like the last one I talked to, she said, I will not work with you if you want to do carnivore diet. I can't help you. And I'm just like, really? I'm like, you don't want to see if there's like any kind of supplementation I could take to help or aid with it? And she's just like, no. If you want to go that route, you need to find someone else. And I'm like, okay, bye. So I'm
Can,
going around now
can
with my liver doctor right
can you
now.
imagine saying that to a vegan? Can you imagine the news headlines?
Yeah, yeah. It blew my mind. I was just kind of like, you won't even talk to me? And she's like, no, I can't. I don't think what you're doing is healthy. And I'm like, okay, bye. But you can't go online and get help from a nutritionist right now and tell them that you're doing the carnivore diet unless you want to pay like for a specialty one on the side. It's kind of sad because hearing all like listening to your channel, there's so many people that have benefited from this diet with these weird, crazy health conditions that we all have. And I really think that if it wasn't for carnivore, I'd be on a ton of medications. And they even I'm trying to remember in 2022, I was diagnosed with nutcracker syndrome and pelvic congestion syndrome. And I had to have this massive surgery where they cut me like all the way down my stomach, and they had to reroute the way my blood flowed because basically there was no blood getting to my left kidney, and it was just pulling down into my stomach area, and I was in so much pain. So they did this massive surgery, and I remember saying, okay, can I bring my own food with me to the hospital? Because I had to go into ICU for 7 days afterwards to recover from this. And they're like, well, we have food and stuff. And I'm like, no, no, no. I want to bring my own food. So I brought baggies of chicken and baggies of steak so I'd have something to snack on. And then when I ordered my meals, I ordered burgers and chicken. And they're like, okay, we're going to send a nutritionist up to talk to you. Like, this is not healthy. Because I'm like, I don't want the sides. Just give me the burgers and the chicken. So they sent a nutritionist, and she talked to me, and she took all this blood and tested everything. And my blood came back pretty good. I mean, I have to say my blood work's doing really well. And when I dropped the chicken this past year and just went completely lion diet, my liver enzymes went from 400 down to 200. And like I said, they're supposed to be around 30, so I still have some room to work on it there. But I'm hoping the longer that I stay on the lion diet and just eat beef and water, that maybe those liver enzymes will come down. So right now I'm on day, I think it's 12 of 365, where I'm trying to just do steak and water and see if I can bring those liver enzymes down so I do not have to have a stent put in for my liver issues. My liver doctor thinks I'm crazy. She wants me to talk to a nutritionist. The nutritionist just ordered labs, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing any more tests right now. I'm just taking a break. It's Christmas time. I want to enjoy my family and this time, and maybe in the new year I'll think about doing these nutritionist tests and stuff. But for right now, I'm okay. And with my blood work this last time, the only thing that's high is liver enzymes. Like I said, they were around 200. And for some reason, my bun and creatine levels are high. And I don't know if it's because I eat leaner meat and I don't eat like the fatty meat that's high. But that's the only thing that I can't figure out. Like I've looked to like Dr. Sean Baker and trying to, like, he's talked about a few times, but I can't quite figure out the answer on that one yet of what I can do to get those numbers to come down. But my cholesterol actually went from like 280 down to 200 when I went to Lion. So when I
Wow.
got rid of that chicken, yeah, like I saw a massive improvement, not only in my liver enzymes, but also in my cholesterol. I'm not bloated anymore. I'm not gassy. Like I feel so much better eating just beef compared. Like I don't eat fish, I don't eat chicken, definitely not turkey. Nothing processed. Like I don't do bacon or any kind of lunch meat. I can't do butter, unfortunately. I love butter. So basically I just eat the leaner beef. I have to eat it cold too. I can't eat my meat hot because that makes me get sick for some reason. Um, but
When you say get sick, does that like you mean?
like
Yeah, yeah,
diarrhea,
okay.
it goes right through me, unfortunately. Like anything hot or warm, and I love it like that. And I love like when I find like a really fatty piece of meat. Oh, that's like the best. But and I wish I could eat like that all the time, but it just doesn't sit well. I don't know why, but my body does not handle it.
Yeah. Overall, you're feeling better when you're eating this way, though, right?
Oh,
Despite needing
yeah.
to fix like liver enzymes and stuff like that, you're feeling better.
I don't feel any problem with my liver. Like I don't think that you can feel pain from your liver. But yeah, I don't feel any pain. I can say my big problem that I'm also dealing with this 365 day challenge I'm doing is twice a month I have a big old binge fest on some lovely carbs, usually desserts. And the second I get that little taste, I'm like hog wild and I'll eat whatever I want for an hour or two and I will suffer for 2 weeks and I will get horrific joint pain, the headaches. It's also not even that, it's the mood. My mood just goes into the ground. I get so depressed. And I have, a history of depression and anxiety that I've had since a child. And that's why I was on those antidepressants when I was younger. The glass is always kind of half empty, unfortunately for me. Um, but when I eat carbs, my mood gets really low. And I got diagnosed this year with ADHD. So that affects it too, the carbs. Like I can't focus, all my executive functioning goes out the window. When I do carnivore, I can focus better, I get stuff done, I have energy. And I'm not going to say carnivore cured everything. Like even yesterday, I had horrible joint pain and fatigue, and I ate steak and water. Like I didn't eat anything bad. But I had a lot of stress this week at work. I work two jobs. So I think stress is still a huge factor for me. And I don't, like I said, I don't think carnivore cures everything. And I still think that I could possibly have rheumatoid arthritis, and the carnivore diet keeps the inflammation and everything at bay. Um, but I seriously, like I said before, I think that if it wasn't for carnivore, I'd be on like 30 different medicines right now. And I'm on nothing. I take no, not even a vitamin I don't take. So
Mm. And how are your family about this? Do they think you've gone off the deep end or?
pretty much nobody in my family does this way of eating. I have a husband and two kids. They all eat, the regular standard American diet, as we call it. I asked my husband to join me every once in a while. He's like, no thanks. But he's also not against it. Like, he doesn't make me feel bad for eating this way. He's very supportive. We were on a trip the one time and I was like doing really high fat. It was like that first year of carnivore. And that was when I got sick and I was like literally bleeding when I was going to the bathroom. And we had a camper and the kids in the back and we pulled over with the camper and everything. And he went in and bought me some chicken to just help me feel better. And anytime we travel with our camper, he'll help me cut up my meat and prep it. He bought a special freezer for the back of our truck. So when we went away for 2 weeks, I could carry all my meat with me because the RV freezers are real tiny, and I needed to bring 2 weeks of beef with me. So he put a special, cooler in the back of our truck, and he hooked it all up. So he's very supportive, even though he thinks I'm probably going to kill myself eating this way. He doesn't necessarily agree with it, but he doesn't tell me not to do it. No one in my family does it. My brother kind of eats a higher protein diet right now, but no one's carnivore like me. But again, they're all supportive. No one says anything bad to my face, at least. Everyone at my work is supportive. They're like, oh, wow, we wish we had your discipline. And I'm like, it's not really discipline. It's like, if I eat that stuff, I'm going to be sick. Like, it's starting to get to a point where, especially with the mast cell activation syndrome, I was literally starting to carry around an EpiPen with me because I couldn't breathe after I was eating these foods. It was getting that bad. And I feel like as I get older, my reaction to carbohydrates and things are getting that much worse, especially ones that are higher in histamine. So I have to be really careful, and that's why I said like I'm trying to do this challenge. I have like an accountability buddy that I'm checking in with 3 times a day, just to kind of keep me on, base, and that's been helping a lot. Checking in with her, she's been awesome, very supportive, and I think you kind of need that. You need that buddy, you need that group. So and I also listen to your channel at least one video a day, and that helps keep me on track because hearing other people's stories, I think, has been really beneficial. But for me, unfortunately, like support groups and things like on Facebook or anywhere, I just get triggered because I hear so many people like, you should do this, you should do that. And then I'm like, oh, I should do that, I should do that. And then I try and I get sick. So, but like here, I don't get triggered as much because I just hear such great stories of everyone that's healed like these horrific medical conditions and how great carnivore has been for that. So it's been really inspiring for me personally.
Yeah. So at this stage, you're eating every 2 or 3 hours a day, and
Hmm.
that tends to be the leaner cuts of red meat.
Yeah, yeah. I eat at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and they're all like 5 ounces. And then 12, 3, and 6, I do 6 ounces. And then sometimes, like, as I said, I have my own pet business, so I get really hungry sometimes at night if I'm like walking a lot of dogs that day, and I'll eat an extra meal before bed. Like sometimes it'll be like 9 o'clock at night, and I go to bed around 9, and I'll just eat some beef and go right to bed. And I do fine with that, like, because before I used to have all this heartburn and issues, and that's another thing. If I eat higher fat, I get really bad heartburn. But I don't have any issues if I eat some steak and go right to bed. I sleep better being carnivore. I can say that for sure. Because like when I have like my carb binges every once in a while, I will not sleep the entire night. It is awful. The one night I just tried to have a little milk and a little cereal before bed because I was really hungry, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat meat. I did not sleep the entire night. It was awful. So if I need to eat something before bed, it's going to be some steak. And then I sleep like a baby. I sleep really, really well. So,
Nice. So you're 12 days into just steak and water only. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I've been doing carnivore for 4.5 years, but like I said, once or twice a month I would binge out on carbs. And I'm really curious if I stick to it for a year. Like, I was just listening to one of your videos the other day where a person was talking about the liver issues, and they say, like, how your body just is miraculous, how it heals itself. So I'm like, if I don't feed it poison, which is poison to me personally, maybe not poison to other people, that's debatable in our opinion, being carnivore, but um, will I heal? Will those liver enzymes continue to go down? Can I get them closer to the 40 range rather than the 200? And so it's really important to me because, like I said, they want to put a stent in now, possibly to open up my portal vein. And I'm like, I don't want any more procedure. They want to do another liver biopsy. And that was not a fun procedure. I'm like, I really don't want to go through that again. So if I'm like, if I can get these liver enzymes down, you know, that might be a good thing. And plus, I want my liver to last,
Right.
another 40, 50 years. Hopefully, I'm only 44. So,
Yeah. And I know I can I really hear your reluctance to continue with the tests and all this kind of thing, right? Because it feels
yeah,
like the system is such a way, may not be intentional, but it does feel like the system is in such a way that it's like once you start having the test, one test leads to another, leads to another, leads to, well, you need this procedure, which is going to mean you're going to need more tests for this and that and the other. And it's just like a
yeah.
snowball of stuff, you know?
And they constantly want to throw medicine at you. Like when I first told my primary care doctor I was carnivore, and she ran my blood work, and she's like, your cholesterol is through the roof, you need a statin. And I'm like, no thank you. I'm like, I am on these carnivore boards and they told me I don't need this. And she's like, you're going to kill yourself, like, that you need this. I was like, no thank you. So I went home, and the next time I came to see her, she's like, I just want to let you know that I ran tests behind your back and tested your cholesterol in a different way, and your cholesterol is fantastic, and that you don't need the statin. And I'm like, thank you. But like they have like these, I don't know what they're called now, but they have these calculators online where you can take these really high cholesterol numbers and run them through it, and it tells you you're okay, just to make you feel better. So I did do that when I got the blood work. So I knew that before I went in and saw her, and she was trying to push that statin on me. And I'm just like, no, I'm not taking it because my carnivore buddies say that I'm okay. And I believe them because so many people said that their doctors said the same thing. Um, so that was really helpful. But so many doctors are very against this way of eating. I personally have not, I know other people have, but I personally have not found a doctor yet that was supportive of it. Um, but
Yeah, and that can be the fact that you can't find a doctor to basically even listen to you properly is often the hardest part of it, right? Even if they don't agree, if they'll listen and
yeah,
ask questions, at least you know they're taking you seriously. But when they just dismiss you out of hand and go, "You're going to kill yourself, cholesterol high. Oh my God, the sky's falling down." It's just like, well, what's the point?
yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty
Mm.
much my
Yeah.
story.
So I'd be interested if you want to come back maybe in 3 months, 6 months, and let us know how your lion test is going.
Oh, that'd be great because that will keep me on track too. Because then I'll be like, oh, crap, I got to go back on there and talk to these people that I stayed on track and I didn't cheat and eat carbs. And my birthday is in like 2 weeks. So I'm going to go get myself probably a big fatty steak and just enjoy that. Even if it makes me sick, that's better than eating carbs.
Yeah, a birthday steak is much better than a birthday
Yeah.
cake.
That's what, like, everybody's like, ribeye is the best steak. And I tried a ribeye once and I did not like it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like, I'm supposed to love this ribeye. Everybody loves ribeyes, but I was like, I don't think it was worth the money. I'd rather have my sirloins. I don't
That
know.
I mean that's kind of a thing that can happen though when you are in the groups or on the forums or whatever, and everyone's kind of saying the same thing, and generally people like the same kind of thing, and generally things work the same way for most people. But when
Yeah.
you're one of the 5% or the 1% or something where it doesn't work and you don't particularly like the taste of these things, it can kind of feel a bit isolating at times, right?
Well, I think that's why I wanted to tell my story on this channel because I'm like the 1 to 5% where carnivore didn't work traditionally the way it should. I didn't come to this diet to lose weight. I came to help these health conditions, and my gosh, it has. But like, I can't, like, lots of people do eggs. I cannot eat an egg. I've tried multiple times. I have allergic reactions to it. I can't eat dairy. I can't eat fatty steaks. Like, I have to eat lean stuff. But at the same time, I don't react well to chicken or pork. Oh, pork, definitely no pork. Pork is definitely bad. But like, I have to eat like a very small amount of things, and that works for me. But on top of all that, I also react to band-aids, any kind of topical medication. My shampoo, I had to switch to like a sulfate free. I had to switch to an all natural soap. I had to stop wearing deodorant, and like all these things that normal people can use. Like, I'm just a very highly sensitive person, and it might be because of the mast cell activation syndrome or a histamine intolerance or something, but it's just gotten worse with my age. I can't even wear nail polish. I got like these horrible nail infections every time I tried to wear them. So for me, I'm like pretty much all natural, holistic as much as possible. Just do water, steak, keep it simple. Get outside for some fresh air, that kind of stuff. And a lot of people aren't like that. I don't know if I just have more healing to do. Maybe all those years of eating all those carbs with this disaccharide enzyme deficiency, I've really messed my body up, and I just need to give it time. That could be it too,
Right.
because I am definitely a carbaholic.
Mm.
I would say I'm a carb addict.
Yeah. The important, I think one of the important things is that your story really, amplifies is that everyone has to find what's gonna work for them at any given moment, you know?
Hmm.
Like, where someone will say, "Well, I can add in a bit of carb and I do okay and whatever," but that's not gonna be the same for everyone. The same as, you know, the fatty steaks or the butter is not gonna be the way that everyone can go, you know? It's really important to kinda
Yeah,
go, "Well, I don't feel sick when I eat this thing, so I'm just gonna keep following this path until I can work out, what my boundaries are."
yeah. And when I eat that stuff, like the carb stuff, I get instant feedback. Like, I'm managing my Chiari malformation of the brain great. I don't have any inflammation in my head. But when I eat a carb, like I can feel the pressure building in my head. And I think I'm managing it okay with no medication now if I just stick to this. And I'm hoping to get my liver enzymes down. And I really want to figure out that bun and creatine too next, and figure out why they're high. And maybe it's like I said, I'm eating a lot of protein. Like, I eat 3 to 4 pounds of protein a day, because once you cook it, it shrinks down to kind of like 2, 2.5. But I'm a very active person. I really don't sit. This is the longest I've sat today talking to you. And right after this, I have a dog job to go do. So yeah, so I'll be active again.
Yeah. So, Regina, if people want to reach out to you, do you have any social media or any other way of getting in contact?
I can provide you with my email address, and I would love if anybody has a disaccharide enzyme deficiency or this liver condition or Chiari or anything. If they have questions, or you shoot me an email, I'd love to help you out. Because that's the great thing about this community, is we all want to help each other out. We just sometimes you don't get much help from the doctor, so it's nice to know somebody else that has the condition and can help you, because they're rare, weird conditions.
Right. Yeah.
So
No worries. Well, I'll link to your email in the show notes. Regina, thank you
yeah,
so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
yeah. Thanks for having me. It was fun.